Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Friday, September 16th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Now, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. Of course, I'm always running my $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pickdawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Friday, September 16th. First up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the Chicago Cubs. A 2:20 Eastern start time, as this is the only afternoon game of the day. German Marquez and Marcus Stroman are your projected starters. Now, Marcus Stroman has struggled at Wrigley Field this year. He's 0-5 with a 7.11 ERA in his home starts with the Cubs. And his last start was at Wrigley Field against the Giants. He went 4 innings, 4 earned runs, a home run. He did have 4 strikeouts, but the Cubs lost that game 5-2. And now the Cubs have lost each of the last 4 starts that Marcus Stroman has had on the mound. While on the other side, German Marquez, a Coors Field pitcher, doesn't pitch very well at Coors Field, at least this season. But on the road in his starts, a 3.58 road ERA, much better numbers away from home. His last start was against Diamondbacks. He struggled. He went 4 innings, gave up 9 earned runs, 2 home runs. But the previous start to that one was on the road, and it was actually at Great American Ballpark, which is not the easiest stadium to pitch in itself. But he went 7 innings, 2 earned runs, and got the win for the Rockies in the end. So I like Marquez in this one, especially when he's pitching away from Coors Field. I've got to fade Marcus Stroman yet again at Wrigley, and you're getting plus money right now with the Rockies. I know they're not a great road team, but I'm going to take them here. They look pretty good against the White Sox in the final game of that series. So give me the Rockies plus money on the money line. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Washington Nationals. Jesus Luzardo and Josiah Gray are your starters. Now, I know the Nationals have the far worst record. They have the worst record in baseball right now compared to the Marlins, but I actually think the Nationals have been playing a lot better in the second half of the season than the Marlins have, at least offensively. This Marlins offense has not done much at all in the second half of the year, and Jesus Luzardo has been pretty good overall this season for the Marlins, but he's coming off a pretty bad start against the New York Mets, where he went 3 1/3 innings, giving up 5 earned runs and a home run. And that's a New York Mets lineup that doesn't really hit lefties very well, so pretty concerning stuff there. On the other side, Josiah Gray, he doesn't pitch very well at Nationals Park. He struggled in night games this season, but you're facing the Miami Marlins, a lineup that hasn't done much against righties, hasn't done much against lefties. They're striking out quite a bit. Their team OPS and isolated power numbers are not there, so even though Gray has had his struggles at Nationals Park this season, I still think he's got a lot of talent. I think he's going to be a good starting pitcher in this league when he develops, and he's got good strikeout stuff. He can miss some bats. The only issue is for him right now, really, the control. He's missing inside and outside the zone, so giving up those home runs, walking some batters, but I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue against the Marlins, who are dead last in the league in team OPS against righties in the last 30 days. They're in the bottom 10 in walk percentage. They're in the top 3 in strikeout percentage, 26.2% as a team. So give me the Washington Nationals on the money line. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, MLB.com has no starter listed for this game right now. ESPN says Austin Voth will be the starter, but if he does go in this game, he'll be more of an opener, as he just pitched back on September 14th, a Wednesday night against the Nationals. Now, that was out of the bullpen. He only went 1 inning, but I still don't think he'll have enough stamina to go too deep into this game if he does get the open. So I'd expect about 1 to 2 innings from Voth here. And I do think the Blue Jays are the better team offensively. I trust their bullpen a little bit more as well. We'll have to see who Toronto goes with on the mound as their starting pitcher. But right now, just a lean with Toronto, but more than likely passing on this game altogether. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Detroit Tigers. Lucas Giolito and Matt Manning are your projected starters. Now, similar to Marcus Stroman and German Marquez, Lucas Giolito is another starting pitcher that does struggle at home, but has actually had pretty good numbers on the road. Giolito at home this year, an ERA above 6.5, 6.61 right now. His ERA in his road starts, in about 75 innings pitched. He's got 82 strikeouts and a 3.96 ERA with that 6-2 record and a 256 opponent's batting average. Not too bad, not ace quality numbers that we expected from Giolito going into the year, but still not too bad. And he's facing a Detroit Tigers lineup that's not been good. That's for sure. You look at the last 30 days, their team OPS against righties ranked 22nd. Their isolated power ranked a little bit better at 18th, but still well below average. Their strikeout percentage inside the top 5 at 25.6%. They don't really earn a lot of walks at the plate, and I don't like their offense in this game. And I think on the other side, Matt Manning has a pretty good outing himself. Yeah, he's been pitching pretty well this in the second half of the year for the Tigers. I have to say, in his last start, really strong against the Royals, 6 1/3, only 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts in that game. He faced the White Sox not too long ago and did struggle against them, but that was at Guaranteed Rate Field. I do think at home here, a more pitcher ballpark at Comerica Park, I think this will be a much better start for him. We see a very low total for this game, so I'm going to take the under in the White Sox-Tigers ballgame. Next up, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Boston Red Sox. We're going to see Michael Wacha and Jonathan Heasley as your starters. Now, there haven't been many times this second half of the year that I've wanted to lay 1.5 runs with the Red Sox, whether they've been home or on the road, but this is one of those spots where I actually do like them laying the run line with Wacha on the mound, who's been really surprising, a positive surprise for the Red Sox this year. 11-1 with a 2.69 ERA. Now, he was injured for a good portion of the season, but coming off 3 straight quality starts all on the road, all against winning teams, the Twins, Rays, and Orioles. Some solid lineups there. And facing the Royals here, who have been really not doing well offensively, especially in the Twin series, I don't like the Royals' chances in this game. But on the other side, Jonathan Heasley, another guy that I'm looking to fade in terms of starting pitching, 5.51 ERA. He's allowing about a walk every other inning of 39 walks in 81 2/3 innings, only 57 strikeouts, 17 home runs allowed. Coming off a start against the Detroit Tigers where he gave up 7 earned runs against one of the weaker lineups in baseball in only 4 innings of work and a home run as well, no strikeouts in that game. I don't like Heasley's chances at Fenway Park. I like Wacha here. Give me the Red Sox laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Cleveland Guardians. No official starter for the Twins right now. Tristan McKenzie going for the Guardians. Cleveland has absolutely dominated this series as of late. They earned a sweep the last time they faced the Twins, and that was at Target Field. And now they lead the season series 9-5. And I got to take McKenzie and the Guardians yet again in this game, as McKenzie last start against the Twins, 7 innings, no earned runs, and 5 strikeouts. He's in good form. He pitches pretty well at home, a 2.84 ERA in his 63 innings at home with 78 strikeouts. The Twins, they need a win like this. They need to beat the Guardians in this series. They at least need to win this series, but I don't like their chances in Game 1. Give me the Guardians on the money line. In our next game, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the New York Mets. Mitch Keller and Taijuan Walker are your starters. Now, the Mets are big-time favorites yet again at home, and they've been really struggling with their home games as big favorites. They struggled in that Cubs series. They got swept in that one. And even on the road against the Pirates not too long ago, the Mets struggled in that series. So I don't see Taijuan Walker being this much of a favorite, minus 250 plus, in this kind of game with Mitch Keller pitching the way he has, pitching pretty well in the second half of the year for the Pirates, a 4.01 ERA now. His last 13 innings, he hasn't given up a single earned run against these Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, both of those games were at home, but Keller hasn't been too bad on the road either. 4.09 ERA in his 66 road starts, 59 strikeouts in those innings. So I think Keller's good enough here for the Pirates to compete. Taijuan Walker has struggled against the Pirates not only this year, but last year and his 5 innings this year in PNC Park. He gave up 6 hits and 4 earned runs with a homer and 2 walks. I can't lay this kind of money line price or even the run line with the New York Mets. So give me the Pittsburgh Pirates plus 1.5 runs on the road. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Martin Perez and Corey Kluber are your starters. Now, Martin Perez has pretty good numbers on the road and at home this year, and ERA now below 3 at 2.77 on the season. However, the Tampa Bay Rays have been doing pretty well against left-handed pitching as of late, and that hasn't always been the case for Tampa Bay. This was a lineup struggling against southpaws for most of the season, but in the last 30 days, their isolated power numbers aren't the greatest, but their team OPS is inside the top 15, and their strikeout percentage is one of the lower ones. It's actually the 3rd lowest in the league. That's a big step in the right direction for this Rays lineup. 17.8%, only a little bit higher than the Astros and White Sox. So doing a great job against lefties, in my opinion, in the last month. I think this is going to be a tough spot for Martin Perez. The Rangers lineup hasn't been too bad. It's been competitive in spots, but I like the Tampa Bay Rays here to prevail in the end, especially because I think they have the huge advantage in the bullpen. So give me the Tampa Bay Rays on the money line. In our next game, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Atlanta Braves. No official starter for the Phillies right now. We should see Max Fried going for the Bravos. Now, with no official lineup for this game, we can expect that the Braves are going to be favorites and by a significant margin as well. As Max Fried's on the mound, 13-6 with that 2.5 ERA. The Braves have a much better record. But I do think there's some value with the road dog here, at least on the run line, plus the 1.5 runs. Phillies top 5 in the league in the last month in team OPS against lefties. They've done a pretty good job at limiting more strikeouts than usual, as this is a team that's had some issues with the strikeouts at times this year. But I do think they get to Max Fried for at least a few runs, and that should be enough for a cover, if not an outright win. So, I'd like to see who the Phillies are officially starting in this game before we make an official decision. But right now, I'm leaning towards the Philadelphia Phillies plus 1.5 runs. In our next game, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We're going to see Adrian Hauser for the Brewers and Frankie Montas for the Yankees. Now, the Yankees lineup has not done great against righties in the last month, but I do like their chances here against Adrian Hauser. Hauser's coming off a start against the Reds where he didn't give up. He only gave up 1 earned run, no home runs allowed in 6 innings of work, but no strikeouts in that game. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of pitch-to-contact guys, especially in the case of Adrian Hauser, who's had issues with his control. He's also had issues with giving up sharp contact. So against Aaron Judge and the Yankees bats, I don't like his chances. On the other side, however, Frankie Montas is also a guy I'm not really looking to back right now. He has not pitched well with his new team. His ERA is now almost above 4. He's got an ERA well above 5 at 5.2 in his road starts this year. And he's facing a Brewers lineup that's A, very desperate. They need wins to try to make that postseason run. And B, has been good against righties all year long. And that is in the last 30 days as well, where they're top 15 in team OPS, top 10 in isolated power. So I think we see some offense early. I don't know if it's going to be in the later stages of the game, as both of these teams have pretty good bullpens. So I'm just going to take the over in the first 5 innings, over 4 runs in the first 5 between the Yankees and Brewers. In our next game, we see the Oakland Athletics taking on the Houston Astros. We're going to see Adrian Martinez and Justin Verlander on the mound for this game. Now, this game's moneyline price is a little bit too out of hand for me. Not a lot of value in this game, so I'll be staying away from it. But in terms of who I think will cover the run line, who I think will win the game, I got to give it to the Houston Astros with Verlander on the mound, who has had an AL Cy Young caliber season thus far, 16-3 with a 1.84 ERA, striking out a good amount of batters, 154 strikeouts this season. He was injured for a little while. He missed a couple of starts, but I think he won't skip a beat. Usually when veteran pitchers miss some times due to injuries, they're not really in bad form when they come back. We've seen that plenty of times with guys like Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, even Verlander a few times in recent years. And even when he missed the entire last year with an injury, and he came back and started off really strong. So I don't have any worries about Verlander in this game. Adrian Martinez, an ERA above 5. Even though the Astros haven't been the greatest against righties, I still think they get to Martinez here for a few runs. And Martinez coming off a start against the White Sox where he gave 14 base hits and 7 earned runs. Yikes, give me the Astros laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Justin Dunn and Jack Flaherty are your starters. I can't trust Justin Dunn in this game, even though his numbers on the road have been a little bit better than his home starts. It still hasn't been good enough. 5.79 road ERA. Last start, 3 innings, 6 earned, 2 homers against the Brewers on the road. Not striking out many batters. He's walking a ton of guys, giving up those home runs, at least 1 in each of his last 5. Cardinals have a pretty good lineup against righties this season, and overall in the last 30 days, number 3 in isolated power, number 1, even better than the Los Angeles Dodgers in team OPS against righties, and the strikeout percentage at 16.8%, second lowest in the league in that stretch. So give me the St. Louis Cardinals laying the run line at home. In our next game, we see an AL West battle between the Seattle Mariners and the Los Angeles Angels. Michael Lorenzen and Robbie Ray are your starters. Michael Lorenzen, I can't trust him in this game. He's got some control issues, walking a lot of batters. The last 2 games he faced the Mariners in was back on June 17th and June 24th. He went a combined 8 innings, giving up 9 earned runs, 11 base hits, and 7 walks. Now, his strikeout numbers weren't too bad in those games, but overall this year he's not really striking out many batters. And the Mariners' numbers against righties have been very, very good. They are the number 1 isolated power in the last 30 days, even better than the Dodgers. And their team OPS is up there as well against righties, the top 10 in the last month. So I like the Mariners' offense here against Lorenzen and a pretty weak Angels bullpen. And then when you look at Robbie Ray on the other side, the Angels' numbers against lefties haven't been too bad, power numbers especially, but their strikeout percentage still inside the top 6 at above 25%, 25.3%. I don't love that against a guy who is known for missing a lot of bats in Robbie Ray. So I think Ray's good enough here for the Mariners to win, and I'll lay a run line here with Seattle on the road. Next up, we see the San Diego Padres taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. A pair of lefties going at it in this one. Madison Bumgarner and Blake Snell are the starters. I think Blake Snell's the better starter. I think the Padres have the better bullpen. And although the Diamondbacks lineup's been pretty good at times this season, especially in the last month, I don't like them when they're facing a lefty. And that's the big thing for me. The Padres have much better numbers against lefties than the Diamondbacks do. In fact, Arizona's right now ranked 29th in isolated power and 30th, dead last in the league, even worse than the Marlins in team OPS against lefties. So Blake Snell's been good in the second half overall. I like his chances in this game to get the Padres a win. So give me San Diego on the money line. And in our final game of the night, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the San Francisco Giants. Another Apple TV game here on 10:15 Eastern start time. Dustin May, he's had some control issues, that's for sure. The strikeout numbers also haven't always been there. Overall, he's got 21 Ks in 21 innings, which is like what you like to see. But only 3 strikeouts and giving up 3 earned runs, 4 total runs in his last game against the Padres. A home run thrown in there as well. And 8 walks allowed in his last 10 innings of work is concerning. 3 home runs allowed in that stretch as well. The Dodgers have lost each of the last 3 games that May has started in. So, he's not in the best of form going into this start. He is facing a Giants team that hasn't been the greatest against righties. So he does have a little bit of an advantage there. But I still think this is going to be a competitive game overall. Logan Webb has been in pretty good form as of late. The last time he faced the Dodgers, he only gave up 2 earned runs in 6 innings of work with 6 strikeouts. And his most recent game overall was against the Cubs back on September 10th. He went 7 innings, 2 earned runs, and 6 strikeouts. So missing some bats, not giving up walks, not giving up home runs. That's important for me for Logan Webb. So I like the Giants to at least compete in this game. I'm going to take San Francisco plus the 1.5 runs, as they are pretty sizable underdogs here. Give me the 1.5 runs with the Giants to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday, September 16th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.